Hello, good evening. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I am here live to take your questions. I also have a great topic for you today. And my question to you is, have you been the victim of trafficking? If you have, there is immigration relief. But I want you to hear me out here because trafficking comes in different forms. It's not necessarily trafficking, it's not just limited to a situation that is obvious where you have been kidnapped, you have been held hostage or held in a room. Some individuals, even this may even be you, may be a victim of trafficking and you may not be aware of this. So trafficking is where you were either you were used. I like to say it this way: were you used and abused in the United States through fraud, through coercion, or even by force? And when I say used and abused, I mean when you came to the United States, were you induced to come to the United States to get work by an individual, by an employer, or even by a family member, or by an acquaintance, even by a boyfriend or someone who pretended that they loved you? And then when they brought you here, did you find yourself doing things for this person that you did not want to do, but you felt you had to do because they coerced you? They were the ones providing your necessities, like your food and your shelter and your clothes, so you felt like you could not leave. Or they outright threatened you, either verbally, maybe even physically. If they outright threatened you that if you leave, they're going to call ICE. If you don't work for them, they're going to call ICE on you. Or if they made you feel like you couldn't leave because where are you going to go? Or as soon as you leave, ICE will come and get you, or the police will come and get you. This is a trafficking situation, and it happens in different scenarios. So a scenario could be where relatives are here in the US and they promise your parents that if your parents send you to the United States, they will take care of you. They will adopt you and make you get your papers. They'll make you go through school. And then when you came here, you possibly found yourself doing housework, staying in the house, taking care of their kids, serving them, acting like a maid to them. This is a form of trafficking. If you found yourself induced to come to the United States because your boyfriend said you should come, he or she, in this case he, is going to marry you, he's going to get your papers after he marries you, and then you come here and you find that you have to serve him. You have to serve him in different ways. You have to, you have to do the housework. You have to maybe work for his business, and you also have to provide him sexual favors. These are also, this is a form of trafficking, and you can get relief through the T status. T status allows you to be able to apply for your own relief in a safe, confidential way, where after you apply for it and you're approved, you would be able to stay here for 4 years. And even after the 4 years, after 3 of those 4 years, you may be able to adjust status to permanent resident. Now, this is a situation that people don't know that this option is available. They may just think that their only option is to possibly get married here. But if you've been in this situation, you may be able to get relief. I am telling you the what here. I can help you to figure out the how. After I confirm you qualify, this is very much based on your facts. So it's going to be based on what happened, exactly how were you coerced? Were you induced to come here by fraud? Or did this person forcefully abuse you and make you feel as if you had to stay in that situation? And then also, did this happen because you were forced to do things for this person? Were you forced to do sex acts for this person or others? Were you forced to do labor? Were you forced to work for their business? Were you forced to work in their house? This is trafficking. And so I want you to get, while definitely if you were forced physically to stay in this situation, that means that you were restrained in some way, then that counts. But also keep in mind that there are different ways that one can be violated or forced. They could be forced through coercion, as in they tell you that you're going to face harm if you leave them. And this applies to employers. This applies to anybody who has put you in this situation. All right, so that's going to be it for me here, right? I want you to know that this is the what, and I can help you with the how, but first you have to take the steps to schedule the consultation so I can evaluate your situation. I can evaluate the facts involved and then determine whether you qualify. You can go to the link in the profile. It's going to take you to the website or various options where you can call. You can fill out a contact form, or you can do online chat. All three lead to the scheduling coordinator, who will then help you to schedule the consultation. You can also schedule your own consultation by going to the contact page on the website. So many different ways to get in touch to seek the help you need to gain status here in the United States. So remember, I get the question, do I have to get married to get permanent residence or to gain status here? And the answer is absolutely not. But whether you qualify for other options, like applying for the T status as a victim of trafficking, is going to come down to your facts. So now questions. Go ahead, put your questions in the comments. I will answer. I'm both on YouTube, hi there, and I'm on TikTok. So go ahead, I'm keeping a very close eye on the comments. Also, remember that the information I'm giving you here today is not legal advice, it's general information. And so if you want personalized legal advice about any immigration issue, you should call and schedule that appointment. How long does the USCIS respond to a case inquiry? So I usually see about a week to 2 weeks before they'll respond and give you an answer. They usually respond by email for the based on your representative or the email that you've given them as an applicant. Relief Act will pass in Senate. It will benefit the F2B. So right now there are a lot of bills that are being proposed. And all of them are hanging in the air right now. So at this point, we do need some form of relief for the long wait times in family immigration. And I'm keeping a close eye on it, but I haven't seen where one has really stood out to be passed very soon. You will definitely hear me screaming from the mountaintops if something like that passes, because we need it right now. Can the petitioner of an I-130 travel while it's pending? So yes, that is a possibility. Whether it is advisable for you to travel is going to be a different matter, because for my clients, I advise as to whether they can travel on a case-by-case basis. Because some of my clients, they may be close to the end of their process and they may risk having complications while they're coming in, which could complicate their whole case. Whereas there might be a pending I-130 that may not be processed for the next 14 years. And in that case, I've seen that people are more successful with traveling with a pending I-130 when it is expected to last for many years. And so the officers are not necessarily concerned with you overstaying, because that means you mess up your case. However, I can't tell you whether it's safe. That's where, having legal representation is very important here, and that's what I do for my clients. It's not just about some filing their applications, but it's about guiding my clients through the entire process to make sure that through the entire process, they're not making devastating mistakes. So it's going to require me to evaluate your situation as an individual. What happens if you overstayed your visa, but you're married and I haven't filed petitions? So you're always going to face a risk of immigration consequences if you overstay your visa. Now, whether you qualify to file a petition is going to depend on the status of your spouse. Is your spouse a U.S. citizen? Are they a permanent resident? That's going to be very important here. Do you have any inadmissibilities? What's your background information? And that's where it's important to get a personalized consultation, because without knowing all of these facts about you, I wouldn't be able to provide you accurate legal advice. So we received your correspondence. What does that mean? It means that they received whatever you sent in. Can you send back an inquiry if the 2 weeks has passed? You can certainly follow up with them, give them a call and see where the inquiry is. I'm a green card, so my husband's asylum case is pending. So can he pass in a marriage case? When it comes on to proceedings, so if your husband, I don't know if he's in proceedings or if he has an affirmative asylum application, but it's all how the case is going to go, whether he can get married, whether that's going to be the best option, is going to depend on the facts here. So while it may be possible to get married and then end up adjusting status and going about getting permanent residence that way, I wouldn't be able to advise you as to whether your spouse can do that or whether that's going to be the best option. That's where you should schedule the appointment. Let's talk about your situation and then get started if he should qualify. So Madam, why, so Austin, I didn't see your question. I just see, how are you? I'm fine, but I don't see any other questions. He is going back to to his country. Okay, so now when you filed an asylum application, and even if you withdraw that application, you have to understand that filing a frivolous asylum application or a false asylum application has very severe immigration consequences. And so if circumstances have not changed in the country and you filed and now you've canceled that application, they may still raise questions as to why you're traveling back to the country that you claimed asylum for. So it's gonna depend on, what's happening right now in the country, what's in the asylum application. So it's gonna depend on all of that. So get that representation through your process. If you take frequent trips to your country, does that affect your time to file for citizenship? It may. Now, your trip should not exceed 6 months within the last 5 years. If it exceeds 6 months, then in 1 year, they're going to look at that and they're going to ask you whether, in this case, give you an opportunity to prove that you haven't abandoned your permanent residence. If you do prove that to their satisfaction, they may give you citizenship. But if you go 365 days outside of the country straight, definitely that's going to cause you to be denied for citizenship, and you'll have to wait a number of years before you can prove continuous residence again. So my husband is a green card holder and I'm filing an overstayed visa, but it's a year and 4 months. So if your spouse is a green card holder and you are filing, you're not going to qualify for adjustment of status. That means you're not going to qualify to stay in the United States and apply for permanent residence. That's because only spouses of US citizens can do that, can overstay and end up still going through. In this case, if your spouse, you'll have one of two ways to go. Your spouse can become a US citizen. At that point, you would be allowed to adjust status. Or you would have to go through the I-601A waiver process. If you go through that process, you wouldn't be able to stay here, but you would get forgiveness for the overstay if the waiver is approved. And at that point, you could travel to your home country to attend the interview at the embassy, and the unlawful presence related to the overstay would not affect your eligibility. But they're going to look at make sure you qualify in every other way, that you don't have a criminal record. Where it may make sense to do the I-601A is where your spouse may have to wait a long time to get to get citizenship. If that's the case, then you may want to do the I-601A. So 545, you should get legal advice because your case is it's on the complex side, and the route that you're going to go is going to depend on it's going to depend on all of that. It's going to depend on all the facts involved, and whether your spouse is close to citizenship or not, whether he is eligible. All right, so keep putting those questions in the comments. I am both on YouTube and TikTok, so put the questions in the comments and I will answer your questions. Thanks so much for the love, by the way, and thank you for your relevant questions. Hi there. How do you get a no objection waiver for a J1 visa holder? So it is a whole process. So first you have to apply, you have to get the no objection letter through your country, and different countries have different procedures on how to do this. Once they do, they'd have no problem, and they issue the no objection letter. Then you would then apply to get the waiver you'd apply to the United States to get the waiver. So Sasha Fairs, if you need assistance with this, schedule a consultation. All right, so I am going to be heading on over to Instagram now. Go ahead, and if you want to continue to ask your questions, join me on Instagram, especially if you didn't get to ask your questions here. I am the immigration attorney on Instagram. As soon as you see me go live, hop on in there and we can continue this conversation. I will be back tomorrow at around 4 p.m. Eastern time, so you can plan to join me tomorrow. Or if you have a need you want to get started on your immigration case, we start with a consultation and then we get started once I confirm you qualify. So you can always contact us and schedule your appointment. All right. Okay, so thanks everyone for your questions. I will be back tomorrow. Have a great evening. I'll see you on the live in a minute on Instagram, or I'll see you tomorrow or in a consultation. Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.